Exactly 1 year ago, we posted 4 vertical videos every single day. No hacks, no paid growth, just stories, strategy, and a lot of showing up. 1 year ago, 1,460 videos later, and guess what? The content that hit the hardest isn't what you expect. Hi, I'm Eric, the founder of In Your Hand Media, and we've been helping clients all over the world for the past 10 years. And we decided to see what happens when you put 4 vertical videos into 3 channels and do that every single day for a consistent 365 days. Today, August 22nd, 2025, is exactly 1 year from the day that we started this initiative. With that being said, let me just talk a little bit about the journey in general. So before we dive into some of the data, I just want to talk about this journey in general. It's been a ton of fun. We've learned a lot. We started last year in August where we partnered with a videographer to help us to film stories and fun things that we could put out on the internet and test to see what would happen if we were to put 4 vertical videos out into these channels consistently. We also engaged with an intern who joined the team, and we got down to business and trying to come up with creative ideas, leveraging AI tools like ChatGPT that came out, etc., to help us to storyboard and to come up with some interesting concepts that could be a little bit humorous, that also tie into marketing. We just were in full-on experimentation mode. Our channels were not big at all. They're just like any other channel that we have out there. We're like any other business. We don't give enough attention to our own social channels where we help others. But in that, we were gonna fix it starting August 22nd, 2024. So we got down to business. So we shot videos and we had a strategy around that. We said, what if we shot long form videos and then did snippets to the long form? This can also be categorized what we know of as clipping, right? There's a lot of times where there's so much content out there where people get on video and they do podcasts or they speak at events and then they hire clippers to take all these clips that drive to the long form or are just standalone pieces of content alone. So our particular strategy wasn't more or less standalone pieces. It definitely teased to the bigger long form. And in that, we had a lot of fun and we got to see a lot of different data points and things that happened over the course of that tenure that were really surprising. Now, let me get real for a second. Native posting. We neglected it. We were self-proclaimed the whole time. We did not put an individual in there to work the accounts. We wanted to see what would happen if you create content, use a scheduler, and push it out. Why did we do that? Because it takes a lot of human resource, capital, etc., to be in those accounts at times. This way was trying to create and see what would happen if you did a completely hands-off approach where you just film the content, package it up, put it out, but you don't get down into the native apps. Naturally, if we would have done that more, I'm sure we'd be a lot further along than we are, but this experiment was strictly about process, flow, and output. And we wanted to see what would happen with different types of content, test the waters, etc. So in that, let's go ahead and take a moment and dive into some of the data that we've been seeing and hope you guys have learned something over this course of this year. So what we're looking at here in front of us is a metrical report from August 22nd to August the 21st. Today is the 22nd of August. It wouldn't let us extend it out to the day because the day hasn't completed, but we'll be able to see 364 days overall in this and kind of get a good understanding. We always film on the day that we come around to our monthly anniversary of launch date. So in that, we're looking at August 22nd, 2024 to August 21st, 2025. And then we're gonna look at all 3 of the channels. So this is what happened. We can see in Instagram, it's only been a 5.22% growth with this particular strategy. So that is outputting 4 reels a day into Instagram. It didn't respond well to that. You would think maybe the more volume, we would have had more growth in that, but it just doesn't seem to do well, when you output 4 vertical videos with reels consistently. It didn't grow as much as we'd like. So we can see that's not that great. Looking at TikTok, we can see we had a 354.55% increase in follower growth overall. And you can see the lines, kind of represent that trajectory that happened over the 365 days. So yeah, we're happy with that. Naturally, once again, self-proclaimed, if we would have been into the native app, we'd probably be much further along than we are right now. But regardless of that, we'll take the growth, we'll take the result from the experiment, and we're going to build from that. Now we've laid out a really nice foundation. Moving into YouTube, we've had a 750% increase. So that's really great to see. You can see, the subscribers over time and the followers over time and kind of how that went. So in general, it gives you a good understanding that, we did grow from that. So yeah, let's look into some other slides here. So with YouTube, you can see we had a 750% growth, which is really nice to see. And you can kind of see that trajectory here. Overall, we've had a 64.17% follower increase since we started this initiative. So yeah, we're happy with it. Naturally, we wish we would have done a little bit more, in some degree, like working in the app, doing those fun things. But for what our experiment was, we're really happy with these results. Okay, looking into impressions. We can see that impressions, definitely in Instagram had 5,877% increase in impressions overall. TikTok, it's not showing that stat in this pooled report for whatever reason, but in either event, we'll have to look into that. But YouTube had looks like a 30,000% increase overall. In general, across all three accounts, we've had an 18,833% increase in impressions to our particular social channels and brand. So once again, the consistency did drive, there's a lot of impressions. Where we can start to go from here and where we can improve is with the content. At the end of the day, if the content were better, if it were more valuable, we probably would be a lot further along than we are. But we're super proud of the footprint that we've laid. Over 1,400 videos with all of these data signals, all of those hashtags, all of those things that pertain to the products and services that we sell. And now with everyone trying to rank for LLMs, we're super happy we did this initiative because we are way ahead of those who did not. We are able to put out these signals through our three channels that, compiled with our website and other type signals, we're able to have a better chance of being found in LLMs. So once again, very happy with what we're seeing with the overall impression increase and the result of what we had with our experiment. So here we are at interactions. We can see we had a 195% increase for Instagram in the interactions. TikTok, it's not tracking that for whatever reason, but it's showing a number of 1,558. And then we have interactions going up 18,000% for YouTube. So once again, if we did nothing, we wouldn't have this. We've done something for a full calendar year, and we've had all these interactions and engagement points. People interacting with our brand who didn't know us before, discovering us. Once again, we're happy with this result. All right, here we are at our posts. We can see all the different posts, and you can see certain channels had more content than others, but they're pretty comparable across the board, some 16 versus 12. But in either event, we had our increase, of course, is going to be up with posts because when you go from nothing to 4-day, those post increase are going to go up. So yeah, this is a good slide that represents that. Moving into ranking of posts. So this is going to be, once again, we're pulling in all three, Instagram, Reels, and Shorts. And we can see the first thing that you're seeing though, that was a static Instagram post outside of this initiative. That was where we had someone who had over 4 million followers do a story and just share us in their story real quick. One of our clients that we worked with. In that they gifted us with a bunch of impressions, which was really, really awesome. But back to the scheduled program with vertical videos, we can see over time it's showing in this particular report. I know it's not always exactly the way that they're calculating this versus what I see in the native apps can be slightly different because I know we have a little bit more than 1,017 impressions, I believe, on some pieces of content. But in either event, through this pool, this is what is showing as the top pieces of content. So first off, we have Social's Been Popping, Network has been using. So if I was to go and just check out what that piece was, hit allow on that really quick. I'm gonna pull that over here.
And now we get to YouTube.
Okay. So this is a random one of my check-ins basically. And that happened in April as far as showing the impressions that it got. Then we have our slapstick, funny Skibbity DJI 2, where we decide we need better mics and we do a fun video around that and teach about the mics and that kind of fun stuff. Avocado, that was another fun one where there's a conspiracy around avocado toast and just trying to have some slapstick humor that relates to search engine optimization and fun stuff like that. So yeah, building connections. This one actually was one that I did that wasn't like filming a full-on story.
With the world becoming more and more artificial.
Yes, this is one I filmed right in my car and just left it a little bit more native and just had a thoughtful, comment about the world of AI and et cetera, building connections and networking. That one did pretty well. And then we go into our Carter, the one where we filmed Carter. This could be Wizards of West Virginia or it could be Carter. In either event, it's very interesting to see the diversity of stories that hit to the top of the impressions overall. Moving down to the next slide, we continue on. We can see it's the gnome story. I mean, it's really interesting to see the diversity. We have not repeated a story from the top, 5 or 6 different pieces of content. So it shows that, all of them had exposure through the algorithms in some degree, up to 700 or so. And there's no rhyme or reason as one is being more popular than the others. It just seems like it's kind of a good split diversity in regards to the impression share that it got. All right, let's go ahead and just go account by account real quick. I'm gonna just move through this and just share some slides a little bit and some talking points, but I'm gonna go through each one of them and kind of see where we can go from there. So community growth overall, once again, Instagram wasn't as hot as the other 2 channels, only a 5.22% in community growth there. Our gender seems to be pretty much split 3 ways, unknown between male and female. This is great intel. We can see the 35 to 44 seems to be our hottest target demographic for Instagram. Jumping into cities, countries, etc. In the United States, United Kingdom, we get some hits, and it kind of goes down to the countries, but 61% United States makes a ton of sense. And then we have all these different geographies that are the most popular. Wexford, that's where I live. That's me. I don't really pay attention to much to that. Cranberry, is my area, so people that know of me. Pittsburgh is next. That's the overarching thing, and then Istanbul and these other things. Hi guys, good to meet you. But yeah, there you go. There's our 10 cities and our 10 countries based off of Instagram and where they serve the most and what was most popular. Moving into the average reach per day over the course of the 365 days. I mean, you can see, our reach definitely is pretty decent, overall for that time. It's not like gigantic. We're not blowing it up. Don't get me wrong, but for what we did, we're excited to see these increases overall in the last 12 months. All right, let's go ahead and look at some of the Instagram hashtags. We can see what dominates the hashtags is what we had when that particular client shared through the Instagram stories. So that's why it's all the same on the 26,000 views. Jumping down into the other hashtags, we can see marketing agency and in your hand media are our next most trafficked hashtags. So as we look at hashtags, we can see that our client partner dominates the first page here. So all of these are basically, for that particular client. Oh, sorry, 412 gives back. Okay. All right. So here we're looking at the ranking of hashtags for Instagram. On this first page, we can see it's primarily dominated by everything that that one client who had a huge account, over 4 million followers, and shared a story, kind of dominates that in general. As we move into some of the other hashtags, you can see marketing agency, of course, in your media are the most popular in general, and then so on. All right, this is a very interesting view to look at really quick. It just kind of sums up over the 365 days, the amount of likes for Instagram, comments, saves, interactions, shares, and reels. We can see that we got to do better in content. We got to do better with our engagement, right? Like you can just see it with Instagram. It does not resonate well within reels when you output them regularly. It's not like, it doesn't give you a ton of algorithm juice, doesn't give you a ton of exposure. So you really have to kind of, work those elements if you want to be successful. Okay, let's go ahead and pivot into TikTok. We have community growth here in front of you for TikTok. It's looking like a 354% increase. Followers, which we'll take, once again, 1,400 posts over the course of the 365 days. Attribute to that. Moving down into the account, we can see our profile views are up 4,000% in general. Once again, TikTok can have a lot of great reach when the algorithm opens up and allows folks to see you. So yeah, this is great to see. Moving into post view per period, this is really interesting. One thing we found out between all the accounts is when you're dormant or starting a fresh account, those first 30 days, seems like all three of the accounts kind of do some what they call exposing you to seed audiences. They want to see if your content will go beyond 500, 600, 700, maybe 1,000. They'll expose it to some seed audiences and see if it takes, and then you can grow from there. Our stuff, after the first month or so, it didn't work as well, and it started to just kind of settle into a normal thing. I bet you this is pretty normal for most, but what I'm getting at is that this data just shows us that you can see the algorithm pops where, look at that, 2,000 is like popping you up into some decent exposure to then hopefully capitalize on. So if you have your A game ready, your content sharp, you're ready to you have something to sell, if you're gonna start new things, those first 30 days are very important. This little graph here kind of shows us that. Our demographics with TikTok in general, Our demographics with TikTok in general, Our demographics with TikTok in general are skewing more towards male at 60%, female at 34%. And here we are at reach of published posts within TikTok. And you can show it's showing a negative 12.71%. And once again, here we go, right? We started, you can see, look at this. Look how it boosts the content up, exposes it to seed audiences. You get your at-bats, and if it's really good, maybe you'll grow and you'll go up into the thousands of followers or something like that. But if it doesn't, you're gonna settle in and you're gonna have to either make better content, figure out a new strategy, add some ad dollars, you name it, something to get back into the algorithms. Occasionally it wakes up and shoots you back up again, but then it kind of settles in. So this will be an experiencing overall. But once again, those first 30 days, you have a shot, and this data shows you have a shot to kind of get exposure at a much higher level than you would otherwise. So you really want to be prepared to capitalize on that. Let's move into views of published posts, kind of very similar graph here, but we can see we've had approaching close to 200,000 views for the TikTok posts that we've put out over 365 days. So that's 200,000 closely. That's pretty good. We're happy with that based off of what we did. Here we are at our interactions of published posts. We can see the shares, comments, likes, interactions, etc. We can see also where this interaction here, this was more of a spam. I was getting hit with tons of spam because I talk a lot about being suppressed with the algorithms. You can see it where you just don't get any reach. I think a lot of people are in that state, and then you get a bunch of people that hop on some comments sometimes saying, see this person, they'll fix it, they'll fix it, they'll fix it. And a lot of times they're folks that want to talk to you in WhatsApp, and they want you to hurry up and pay them so they, as you know what's going on, right? Ton of scammers in that space. It's really difficult to find someone that you think is truly trustworthy that can help you in that department. But if anybody has any tips on it, I'm sure if this is a snippet within one of my shorts, you guys will jump on and tell me who I should talk to, right? There's someone that's really, truthfully, that does have some kind of power in getting past depression. We'd love to have a conversation. All right, moving into ranking a post. Let's see here. Now this once again, this is not true. 94, 50, they're not ranking by views in this particular one, it seems, but they're ranking by something, right? So, okay, let's go ahead and take a dive into YouTube really quick here and see what we have. So we're looking at a 750% subscriber growth. We started with 8 subscribers and we picked up 60 over a calendar year. It's not at the level like all these folks that reach out say we can help you, but for what we stuck to our guns, we stuck to our strategy, and in that it produced what it produced. Of course our video percentage is up naturally, the amount of we've posted, our gained is up 3,400%, etc. We lost 11 subscribers in that period, so it's good to kind of see that, what happened, how many actually did drop off here and there, so it's good to know. Demographics, primarily male on YouTube, it looks like, and our ages kind of skew into the 25-34 a little bit more with YouTube. And this is funny. Ireland, 40%. We have our gnome story, and boy, do they resonate in Ireland. And it's funny. I think we're gonna have to probably put up In Your Hand Media in Ireland. So if you're in Ireland and you're watching this video, let's have a conversation. Maybe we can talk about putting up one of our In Your Hand branches over there, because you guys seem to like this content a lot, and let's collaborate. Sorry. You guys seem to like this content a lot, so let's collaborate. All right. Other interesting things on this particular slide, you can see shorts is dominant, right? Once again, when you're putting out 4 a day, and that's the primary thing. Our 16:9 videos, we'd only do 1 to 2 a month on those. Always 1 at a minimum, always a check-in, but occasionally have some other stories filmed. So you can see shorts really drove it. YouTube search is also, we're being discovered through that, and other YouTube features at 1.3%, and then it kind of goes down to minuscule pieces of data. But yeah, so shorts is the main driver for the channel at the moment. Makes a lot of sense. Jumping into our video views, by doing this, we've achieved close to 60,000 video views to these shorts over the 365 days. And once again, these are views to our brand that we would not have had otherwise. So we're really excited about that. You know, our company has grown quite a bit in this last year. And a lot of times we're like, why is it so busy? You know, I think it's just a combination of a lot of things, right? We're not running online ads, but we're doing this. And if you look at this, you can see, you know, it is bringing real traffic to our brand and to what we do. And in that, we're able to at least, you know, be discovered and maybe potentially have some potential partnerships. Who knows, right? Ways to work together with clients as well as other collaborators. So very happy with that result overall. And yeah, just wanted to kind of show you that. So here we are at our interactions for YouTube in general, and we can see that we've had, you know, an $18,000, sorry. I'm just all over the place today. I need some coffee. So here we are at our interactions for YouTube, and we can see that we've had 18,000% increase in our likes. You know, our dislikes at 141. It's good to see that number too. It's, you know, once again, like, I get bored of our content. You know, we run a lot of reruns, we do a lot of repetitiveness, so I totally get it. I totally understand. And, you know, it's the nature of social in general. Everybody's gonna like your stuff. Our comments over the course of that, 37, up 3,600%. And of course, our videos are our videos. Once again, I don't like this view. It doesn't make it, it's just, all it is up in succession. So it's not really a ranking. It's a very bad, showing 20 posts sorted by date. Okay, that's why. So that's why, okay. All right. Here we are at YouTube interactions and videos viewed. We can see that we've had 12,000% increase in our likes, which is nice. We can see our dislikes once again, and our comments. So this is kind of similar to the slide we saw previously. All right, that kind of brings us to the end of a quick rundown of the last 365 days through a metrical report. That is the scheduler that we use for this particular initiative. And we're able to see kind of what happened with these 3 channels. Let's go ahead and take a look at the actual channels themselves for a brief moment here, and then we'll kind of start to wrap things up a little bit in general, but just wanted to show you what happened here. Let's move on. I'm gonna do one more of those. I felt like that was kind of, let me do one more. So yeah, that kind of concludes what I want to show you inside of the metrical report. Let's go ahead and pivot over to the other social channels. Okay. So yeah, that kind of concludes what I want to do with the metrical report. So let's go ahead and pivot over to the 3 channels and take a look inside of those just to see some of the differences between the report and what you can see in the native apps. And then we'll kind of go from there. All right. Okay, here we are, folks. This is the In Your Hand Media YouTube channel. Once again, we've been doing 4 of these vertical videos every day for a full calendar year. And you can come and see the journey and poke through it if you'd like. But yeah, within YouTube, we have 2 different sides of the house of YouTube, which is the only difference between all 3 of the platforms, right? We have our shorts, which is our discoverability vehicle, where we can put up, teasers or valuable one-off pieces of content. But then we also have our video side of the house. That's our 16:9. And 16:9 are always much harder to achieve, views in general. It takes a lot to kind of get those views up, whereas shorts you can get, a couple hundred quickly, up to thousands through the algorithm pops. But once again, our teaser videos would drive to the long form stories, right? So in that you can kind of see overall, how these things are growing. 40, 48, 36 are not going to be off the chain in regards to views. Our documentaries, our stories that really don't have a ton to do with marketing tend to do so much better. People, like you can see 203 views for the Bruce story. If we go and look at the Carter has 79. If we wanted to drill down in a little deeper here, we'll go into our video section and we will take a look at videos in general, and we'll just do a quick sort by views here. And we can see exactly as I was explaining, Bruce 1 was the interest piece that got the most views, followed by Carter. Then this is telling, 69 views on this thing where I just teach in 11 minutes how to set up a custom GPT and a custom gem. That's the type of content that I'm going to be pivoting to, and more on that here in a second. But valuable content, as you can see in 16:9, is already clearly approaching the story-based content of Carter. So more of that is probably what needs to happen here. Jeff comes in at 4th. That's another interest-based, one. That's where I met someone out at a event, and he had a question around the difference between Canada and the United States in regards to marketing. So I went and filmed a whole video to answer his question and sent it to him. So that's what that is. And that one has a little bit more views on it. And then we jump into some of our overall check-ins that we have, and they kind of between 30, 40 views overall, it seems like on average they kind of get. And you can see too, if I would have stuck with this in 2017, I might be a lot further along, y'all. But I have stuff, I was in the mode of documenting and filming back in 2017. And this is great though. Even right here, just as a fun aside, you can see, we all start somewhere, right? Look at the warped basement I was in, folks. Isn't that funny? I love it. You got to know where you come from. A lot of hard work and grind to do anything in this world. So in that, and it's funny, even looking at Medium, Tumblr, I think it was, Medium, Twitter, no Tumblr, but just, there it is. There's Tumblr, yep, I knew it. So it's very interesting to see some of the channels. I haven't even looked at Tumblr in a while, or Medium. I should probably go see what's happening out there. But regardless, this is kind of a blast from the past to kind of see. I just wanted to share it with you guys. Wish I would have kept going. My God, I wish I would have kept going. But here we are today. So in either event, that's the 16:9. Let's just go ahead and jump into analytics really quick, and let's go ahead and just get our view. Last 365 days. Once again, I think some of the metrical stats were pointing to 66,000, 60,000 plus, views over those 365 days. Once again, you can see where they were putting us into the seed audiences, trying to get us discovered, and then flatlined and so forth. So you can see the plus 60 subscribers over that time, almost 200 watch hours through those shorts that are 60 seconds or less, and then the views. So really awesome to see that. I know, once again, it could have been a lot better in general. We can see here, this is showing sorted by views in regards to what got the most reach overall. So we got, once again, Bruce, this one here got some of the most because it's the interest-based piece. Then we have our check-in, then we have the slapstick funny stuff, then we have the Bruce again. So we can see the interest-based stuff does seem to work pretty well. But trying to rectify that to helping you with marketing, that's something we're gonna figure out, right? We'll figure that out. We're just experimenting, having a lot of fun doing, taking the actions to actually get this stuff executed and out the door, right? That's not a lot of people can do that. So that's the key right there, is just getting in the reps. We've done it for a year. We've laid our foundation. Now it's time to go into something different. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and move into TikTok really quick. TikTok in general, I enjoy it. It definitely gives us like seed exposure to the algorithms. We're suppressed like crazy once again. We're lucky if we crack 100 every now and then, right? So you can just see how it's not getting out. The 4 a day is not working anymore. Like, it's becoming apparent, but we wanted to get to a full calendar year, and we have. So now we have permission to make some changes, and that's what we're going to be doing. But yeah, let's just look into some of the analytics with this really quick as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the analytics. How you get there is you hit the More button here, and you go into Business Suite. Now, from what I recall, yeah, you can do a custom range. That's good. So if I want to go way back here to August 22nd, the day that we launched our initiative, which is right here, and just shore that up all the way, hit update. Now we can see the full calendar year as well. And once again, you can see where in the first 30 days where it kind of gives you those algorithm pops, and then it kind of settles into some normalcy and suppression overall. We can see our likes, they're up 999, almost 1,000%. Shares, 43, comments, 285. So there you go. Our website clicks at 4, phone number. So, it wasn't driving a ton of outbound stuff from the content to it, which we expect. But we could look at followers, net growth, net follower growth, lost followers, 70 followers over that tenure. Okay. But our net growth is 195. So there you go. That's what 365 days of this strategy did. So it's good to see that. Other things you can dive down to is audience and so forth. Once again, there will be some overlap a little bit, but the native app will have probably better intel, right? So this is telling us that male, once again, in TikTok is dominating. I think that was prevalent over metrical. Yeah. Here's the video tab really quick. It looks like I have to do a custom range as well if I want to showcase that. So I'm gonna go over here into August 22nd and then drive it down and just take a quick look at what that view looks like. And instead of doing newest, let's do most viewed. There we go. So yeah, and that relates to what we viewed over on metrical. So it's mirroring the same thing pretty much, but this is how you can view it in here if you didn't have metrical. If you wanted to go and look in your own analytics to kind of find some of these things out, this is where it's at. It's in the business suite of TikTok. So yeah, there you go, guys. That's the TikTok side. Let's go ahead and move into Instagram to kind of wrap this up and conclude. Instagram, once again, this is why it's time. And it was a little excruciating waiting out these last 30 days. We're ready to make a move and a pivot, just because we want to see better results and we want to try to shake things up some. But, in that we stay consistent. You're going to want to click the dashboard here for Instagram if you want to look into some of its analytics as a native platform. This was a boost that I was going to maybe go at. I'm just going to discard that. Then you got Insights account. There you go. And that's last 30 days. And with Instagram, this is the one where you can't do a custom range. So you can only kind of look back 90 days unless you're going out into some more robust reporting tools in general, like tying it into a metrical or using something on the meta side of the house. But in the Instagram native, it's 90 days is what you get. And yeah, in general, we can just see like Instagram hasn't been really great for us in so many ways. We can see 98% is reels. So yeah, we just got to do some work here to kind of get things to move a little bit better in Instagram. So out of the 3 accounts, this one performed the worst. YouTube and TikTok did the best. Reels just, it's not really competing very well with TikTok and Shorts in general. Of course, with this strategy or our content, if we were different, if we different industry, different content, it might be a totally different story. But for us, marketing, where we're at, this is kind of what it shows. So there you have it, folks. There's what happens when you commit to 4 vertical videos a day, to 3 channels, Reels, TikTok, and Shorts. And you don't stop and you're consistent and you architect a strategy that you want to try out, which we did, which was taking stories with sometimes valuable content, one-off pieces of content, and having these long stories and teasers pointing to them. That was our strategy. Not in the native app, not engaging much with community all that much. So that, if you were to do that and try to make a process where you're just outputting regularly through a scheduler and working with a designer and the social person to kind of get it out, that's kind of the way it rolls. Now we're about to pivot. So, thinking through this, I did a bunch of research, looked into it. Should we just stop for a few days? That's a question. Like, should we just stop, let the accounts kind of settle down a minute and then restart? And everything said that's not a good idea. You should keep it going. It's kind of like it can affect some performance over time, etc. So with that, I'm like, what should we do? And the key is going to be putting out direct to camera, authentic, pieces of content starting tomorrow. I've been in this industry well over 15 years, and I've been super, invested in studying all kind of advancements in AI, doing things like make.com automations and working with agents with an N8N. We haven't disclosed any of this to anybody or sold it to anyone yet, but we're just figuring out real value with these things because there's so many what they call LARPers out there in this AI space. Everyone has an AI company. Everyone can help you. It's just like the shiny pill syndrome, and like there's not a ton of real value being presented to people. So we're really meditating hard on like finding actual automation, actual process that really helps small, medium, large businesses to kind of step into the age of AI. And we're being very thoughtful and considered around like certain packages we can help folks with, whether that would be setting up a digital brain, custom GPTs, all those types of things we're going to be sharing more and more of. So if you've stuck with us this long, thank you. We are so grateful that you've stayed in tune, even with all the reruns. Oh my God, I mean, that's brutal. But so thank you so much for sticking with us. But starting tomorrow, every day, I personally am going to shoot 1 piece of content that's going to, at a minimum, go out. We do have other stories that are on the horizon. We're going to have Bruce 2 hitting our platforms here in September. The last one was a super long video. This is probably going to be even longer because there's just so much footage that was shot. That's going to come out. So then we're going to do a little dance. We're not going to go back into this exact same strategy where I'm just pointing back to a long form. We're going to do valuable is going to be the keystone or the cornerstone of our overall new strategy. We're authentic, real-time updates as to what we're working on, what ways we could help, just sharing of ideas, things we've built. Those are going to be our cornerstone. Those are going to be the pieces of 1 a day must go out. And then we're going to, as stories start to be launched, then we'll add in some teasers occasionally to kind of start pointing and just kind of not at the level we were where it was like 4 a day hammering you. It's going to just be 1 to 2 a day. And we're going to see what that does. Instincts are, if I start to do what I'm seeing the way that I consume this stuff, where I have people that are just talking to me in a natural tone, authentic, sharing real value, if I start doing some of that, see if I can get into a groove with that, I think you guys are gonna be so much more happy. You're gonna learn a lot more. It's not gonna be all these funny stories and stuff. So that's the major pivot we're doing. We're not gonna be hammering 4 a day starting tomorrow. We're gonna go down to 1, maybe 2. And that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna switch what we're doing, and we're not gonna do a bunch of reruns and a bunch of stuff. We're gonna pause on that. We're gonna start trying to bring out direct, valuable, real-time, human, authentic content to share what it is that we're innovating on, how we help people with marketing, and all those fun things. So stay tuned. Thank you guys so much once again. I'm so grateful if you've liked, commented, shared, done anything with our stuff. We've always been self-proclaimed. People love to say, oh, you guys, you're stuck in this, or you don't know what, look, we know exactly what we were doing. We had a strategy, we said we're gonna stick to it for a calendar year. We did that. Now all bets are off. We're super excited to see what is gonna come next out of the channel. We have some ideas, but we're really gonna try to keep our pulse on the current space of AI, the current space of marketing, sharing maybe some things about building a business. You know, I am a business owner and I built this thing from nothing. So there's things there that I could share of how I am growing and how the pain that I have to go through at times. I'm going to share some stuff in that. So just stay tuned. I'm going to get some other folks on camera. I have a great team. We have a team, I think, of roughly about 10 to 11 right now. Some super A players in my team that I want to get on camera eventually as well. But for now, we're going to start somewhere with me just bringing those 15 years of killer knowledge out to you, the public. You know, take it or leave it. Follow or unfollow. It's who we are. It's what we're bringing to the table. And once again, so much gratitude for everyone that has showed up, stuck with us for this calendar year. We are so grateful. Thank you guys. Please stay tuned for the 365-day check-in, which is this video. Sorry, I'm promoting a video that I don't need to promote anymore. It's this one. And also, please stay tuned for Bruce 2 and any other fun videos that we end up shooting in the future. Once again, we're going to pivot though. It's going to feel a little different down inside of the different channels. We're going to try to shift and not have these reruns. So anyway, guys, thanks again. Looking forward to seeing you guys on the next video.